Hello, and welcome to Augmented Teachings. This is a space where we talk about things that inspire us to think better, feel better, and in turn be better. Today's episode is about the movement, what it is, and why we are a part of it. Thanks for joining us.
Trust in the journey. Let your spirit soar. With Augmented Teachings, we'll open the door.
So welcome to the show, guys.
Hi.
How you
Glad
doing?
to be here again.
Yeah. That's always so great when we get together. So Todd,
Yes.
open this up today. What is the movement?
The movement. The movement is something that's being done for us and not to us.
Okay, let's break that down.
Let's break this down. So look at this pen, right? Everything has a frequency, right? This has a frequency that creates the plastic. This has a frequency that creates the leather. This frequency creates the different rocks, the different colors, right? Mm-hmm. What's changing is the amplitude, the height of the vibration.
Okay.
So this height of the vibration, the amplitude is increasing, therefore causing us to feel and sense more than we used to in the old paradigm.
Absolutely.
So what's happening is people are waking up to this new higher vibration, woke, right? They're waking up to humanity first mentality of love, acceptance, and compassion, and rejecting the old ideals of fear, judgment, punishment, ego. And this whole movement is happening not to everybody at once, but in small groups. So the oldest souls will awaken first, and then you have younger souls, and then you have the very youngest of souls that may not ever align with this higher vibration. But what is happening now is the first group of people have already awoken. The second group of people will be awakening because they're so appalled by the old vibration going awry to the point where they're not really in alignment with this, but they're so negative against that.
Right.
And we're seeing it in our processes, our government processes right now. We're seeing this and feeling it and witnessing it. And people are going to start moving away. That other group is going to start moving away from them also. But you still have that third that is not going to move. And that's okay. As they said, in the end of times, a third of the population will go insane, right? Up is down, down is up. When a soul is very young, it's led by ego. And that ego will dictate how that person thinks. So when they say, we're going to cut funding for children so they go hungry, like, cool, I get to pay less taxes. That's not correct, right? That's opposite. What is right is now wrong. What's wrong is now right. So, when they're led by ego, they're already in too deep. They can't turn around. They can't admit any wrongness. So they'll just keep going until they're cleared from this 3D reality.
It's almost as if like they've become inverted in a sense.
Yes.
And why do you think, or when do you think this movement really started to progress a lot forward?
Well, it's funny because December 21st, 2012, right? End of the world, right? No, it was end of the Mayan calendar, end of a cycle. And as we move into this cycle farther, the vibration the amplitude keeps ramping up. So I talk about it in the book, God is Greater Than Religion. I talk about it, and I talk about why we're so divided at this time. But as we move further and further into this vibration, more and more souls are going to start moving towards the humanity first mentality. Humanity towards humanity itself, humanity towards the planet, humanity towards animals, humanity towards things that we should be cherishing instead of things that we have been taught to cherish.
Well, and I feel like this movement really is, yes, it's a happening, right? It's happening whether we like it or not, whether we want it or not. It's not determined by us, but we are participating in it by our thoughts, our actions, our habits, and the consciousness that we embody. And like you said, it's all happening for us, and it's helping the collective consciousness to progress forward.
Right.
And it all has to happen.
I totally agree. And I think it's from our previous episode, we were talking about if there's rules to loving God or that sort of thing. That awakening, right? Woke. some people that might see this or just in general outside, that word is used. It's weaponized, right? And they're woke. They're this, right? It's already being labeled as something negative. And so that's really the difference with those young souls in our government that are in charge of our government and things like that right now, because it's all fear-based, right? They are anti-woke because they are fear of losing their control, fear of not winning at all cost, fear of losing their financial securities that they build and then manipulate for the elite and high class or on that political side. It's just they everything they do is based in fear, so they have to label it something negative. But that awakening is not negative, and I don't care if people don't like the word woke. Change it out. It is an understanding. Is an understanding of how things actually really work that is attached to our vibration. And when you live the spiritual life, those rules that we were talking about on that episode, they were, religion has rules. And once you have that understanding, you can step away from that matrix, from that construct of rules that's built to control you, religion, all of them. And you follow the spiritual path of just increasing your internal vibration by choosing humanity first, right? And when we choose that humanity first, that our light so much brightens, our understanding becomes multiplied in so many different ways. And then that movement starts within us, that deep understanding, and then we find like-minded friends that we associate with and take actions with, and then the movement becomes stronger.
Exactly.
Right. As more and more people align with it and realize, and really they have weaponized the word woke, right? But I always say humanity first.
Absolutely.
Humanity first. That's, AOC should use that as her campaign because she would be president. But seriously, I always put humanity first, not corporations first. Corporations should be serving mankind, not exploiting people and exploiting the land. They should be helping humanity.
It should be a resource.
Right. It should be a tool, right? It's a man-made device, and it should be helping humanity, not exploiting. But we've been manipulated to think that we should be serving them instead of them serving us.
Because of fear.
Out of fear. But this movement is going to change, and we are going to see things like in the stock market. We're going to start seeing things where we're going to have a grade for corporations that are pro-humanity. And that will weigh into, because there is a karmic reaction for not having it. So it'll show direction in which the company may be going karmically. So as the vibration raises, karma is more interactive. It's not something you pay back 2 or 3 lifetimes down the road. It's something you pay back next month, next year.
Because you're living that vibration.
Right. So as companies exploit, their ability to create and to expand gets stopped by source. And those corporations that are working with mankind will get boosts and will get pushed, and they'll have wind in their sails. Because they're working with humanity, because Source knows all things. Source is all things. So, and this movement is starting now, but it's just going to get stronger and stronger, especially as the people that cannot be swayed, they start leaving this planet and they start dying off on their own accord.
So, Todd, you were explaining that, the movement has just started, but really it started a long time ago. Those seeds have been planted. That foundation has already been laid. Right. And we are continuing to build that.
Right. So 2012, right? That's when it started. And we're still in the beginning stages of it. So when you look at it, the timeline of a human, it's been, quite a long time. But when you look at how long the cycle is going to be, thousands of years, we're still at the beginning of it. So it started a long time ago, and we're at the beginning at the same time. And realistically, this movement is going to change everything. How politics works, how we see each other, how we see the interactions of other countries will start to change for the better. Because Source God creates that vibration and increases it, it affects everything eventually. So politics doesn't set our standard. We set the standard for politics. Mm-hmm. That's how we'll start changing everything, because we will see the world differently as we start to waken up towards humanity first.
Because that change starts within us.
Right.
And so Robert was speaking earlier about the movement is from within.
Yes.
You know, it's within all things, and it's not anything that we can stop. It's a happening that's already been set in motion. It's supposed to happen. But again, we are a participant in that by what we do, how we act, how we show up for people, how we show up for ourselves,
right,
and how we interact with life. And we are either going to progress so much forward and time's not really going to matter, mm-hmm, or it's going to take a long time, you know, if we're going to stay stuck where we're at.
That's absolutely true. And what I really like about you mentioning that inward, right, is because with the the constraints of religion in that matrix you're in, you can't even question some things. Mm. It is so important to break free from that. I say to Cinnamon all the time, I have to deconstruct what I have accepted as truth. I have to deconstruct what I have accepted as a belief, right? And then I deconstruct and I fill that space with something more, those understandings and those downloads that I'm getting.
Right.
But it is so important for people awakening to do that self-love and that self-care, because it has to go beyond something that you heard or read or something you go, oh, that sounds good, or I think I understand that, because we are people that are subject to the outside world, and we have trauma, some of it self-inflicted from our actions, from our experiences. And so in order to awaken, we first have to attend that trauma, and we have to fix ourselves inside, and we have to release that energy and trauma, which is stored in our muscle and our muscle DNA, muscle memory. Mm-hmm. We release those things from our mind, body, and spirit. And then we start building internally. And so we think we're doing it for us, right? I've been through this, or I've been through that. Those of you who have watched the House of Frog episode, you know, there's a lot of different abuses that happen. And it's not something that you just do one time. It is a practice over time to keep releasing that from your person, from your psyche. Right. So we practice. And then when that self-love is done, what happens after that? We go, oh my God, I thought I was fixing myself. But all of a sudden the understanding of the awakening is like, I've been fixing myself for others. I've been fixing myself to send out this energy and this frequency. And there are people jumping on that wave, you know?
Right.
And it also comes from because you realize that we are all one. And so when we clean up something inside us, we are actually helping in the collective to clean that up. And eventually, if we can all clean up and clean up what's inside of us with our thoughts, our emotions, our traumas, releasing all of that, our habits, our hatreds, whatever, not just things from this timeline or lifetime, but things that we have carried on from other karmic cycles, you know, the more we can do that, the more that's cleaning it up for the collective.
Right. And you already see this changing, this movement taking hold. Things, how we treat our children now aren't the way we were treated.
No.
You know,
that stopped with us.
Right. By the boomers. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's just like,
for the most part,
things they did was like, oh my God, you'd be arrested today. Right. Because our consciousness is increasing. And now it's going faster. So,
and that's part of that movement.
Right. And before, I mean, you know, you would hit a kid and be like, and feel validated that you did a good thing. Now with the vibration higher, you feel worse for longer, and it stunts your want to use physical violence against another human being to teach a lesson. Even
against animals,
right.
You know, I find people, you know, they used to just beat their dogs and stuff because they were frustrated or whatever. And now I see people show up differently. They cater to their animals more. And maybe it's just me, maybe the people that I hang around with. I don't know. You know, there's still all kinds of people and all kinds of mindsets all over the world. And, you know, we're talking about a lot of positive things here, and we're talking about self-development and personal development, but it's not easy for some people who don't have the tools and the resources. Right. They don't have the consciousness to have these conversations. And so what can we do? For me, I know that if I can get through a spiritual healing experience, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to push myself. That's my motivation. Because like you said, I'm not only doing it for me, I'm doing it for the people who can't do it for themselves, or they don't even know that they can yet. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, and I just say for me, but I know others experience it as well. I was, even in the traumatic world I was living and how I was living, I wanted to be better. I wanted to do things. I didn't know what to do or how to do it. So there's a fear of that unknown.
Right.
So, in all of our life experiences, we build those comfort zones. We're like, well, I could take this and I can take that. I've built this up here. I've built up that wall. And we stay in those comfort zones rather than facing that fear of the unknown, rather than facing that fear of, I've never done this. I don't know what's going to happen.
Scary.
But, right?
Yeah.
And so
that's the resistance, right?
so it just takes a willing, for me, life is about acceptance and willingness. Accept that this is what is required to get to the next level. Whether I have to step off a cliff into darkness, into fire, that is what I accept. And then I have built up the willingness to take those steps and go into it and take the lumps, right? Because those lumps that shape and mold me. And so I take that pounding, that metal, whatever the artist is doing to me, that's what's required.
It's like you're that stone in the tumbler, and you're just like, all right. I'm going to be beautiful, and I'm going to be tumbled, and all my rough edges are going to be gone. But it's like, I love my rough stones, and I embrace that too.
That's totally what it is.
It's that journey.
But I think what helps me is because my focus ain't being in there.
Right, no.
My focus is, I know what happens when that door opens on the other side.
Exactly.
And so I go into it joyfully.
Right.
Without that fear, because you've gone through so many practices and processes and, so much realization in your own mind. But for those people that haven't done anything like that,
Right. And heartache was what brought me to my point to where I was trying to find answers. Through that heartache, I started looking for answers I didn't know the answer to. The questions I didn't have the answer to. And then I started developing directly to help me understand how things worked. And then by chance, by accident, I realized, this helps other people too.
Exactly.
So I'm directly helping myself, indirectly helping others around me. And now maybe helping more people because of the cameras. So I'm able to get more information to the people that need it to help them realize there's nothing wrong with you. We're here to have experiences, and we're here to learn unconditional love. If you just keep focused on that, then you're doing better today than you did yesterday.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole point.
And I do want to add that unconditional love, that really starts with ourselves.
Right.
Because I know I've always loved myself, but it was with conditions, and the more I started to unconditionally love myself and heal and grow and allow and accept and be willing and all of that, the more I was able to cultivate that self-love and that self-compassion. And then the more that I cultivated that within, the more I could confidently share it with others and help others progress on their path too. So just like with House of Frog, you guys started on your healing journey for yourselves because there was a need, there was a drive, there was a want for something more. You knew that there was something more for you. And so you went out on this quest to find that, whether it was one breath, one this, one that, right? Whatever it is, one movement. And then you guys got to that point where you healed enough, and we're already whole and perfect and complete in spirit, but it's in that mind, it's in that body, right? And it's in this 3D aspect of us. And so you got to that point where you felt good enough to now share that with other people. And that was really the birth of House of Frog, to be able to bring other people into this now to help them on their journeys, right?
I mean, that's totally what it is. It just started before it was House of Frog. It just started with the response to trauma, some caused by myself, some caused in my past when I was younger, right? And low points, where I didn't feel like I wanted to take another breath on this planet.
Right.
You know, and it came out, and I just found a way. I didn't know I was finding a way. You know,
well, that movement was already happening, right?
But something came in through breathing, and
me too.
I found it just calmed me down. You know, and so I just delved into it. But you know, when we, you know, like I was saying a little while ago, the willingness to step into things joyfully, it's like when we eat. It's like when we drink water, we do it with a happy attitude of gratitude, and how much better that food and those elements serve us. And when I breathe, I do it with an attitude of gratitude. I accept that air, that oxygen. It's a connection to source. It augments body and mind. And when I have to step into difficult processes to get to those next levels, I do it willingly and joyfully because I know how much better it's going to be on the other side. It serves me better. Yes. When we say, this is going to be hard, I know I'll never, right? That's the experience you're going to have.
Right. We're setting ourselves up.
Whatever process we set into, even if we're fearful from it, do it. Fucking do it with a smile on your face, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was just had a thought right now was like, as we're teaching this stuff and we're coming to realizations and understandings that weren't there before, and we're bringing them forth right now, you know, 10 years from now, this is going to be old hat. There's going to be so many more people that are doing this, but even farther along than we are.
Oh, yeah. What did Jesus say?
Right. I don't know what Jesus said.
Jesus said lots of things. But Jesus said something like, and you know, don't quote me here because I'm not a good quoter, but something along the lines of like, you know, all these things that I can do, you can do greater. Right. And Dr. Ernest Holmes, he was a philosopher about 100 years ago, and I followed his teachings very closely. And he would always say, "Stay open at the top, stay open-minded, because wherever we are right now, we are progressing, and in 10 years or 100 years." This is going to be so insignificant, but right now it is so important because we are putting a little pinprick right now in time. Right. And we are recognizing that we are taking an active participation in the movement even more than we ever have in this moment right now. So we are declaring that 10 years from now, things will be so much different. And I know that it is going to be in a most positive, beautiful, evolutionary way for all of collective humanity. Right. I know this. I know this. And thank you so much for being a part of this movement. And thank you so much to House of Frog for joining Augmented Teachings. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of Augmented Teachings. It's just been such a beautiful journey. I know I'll speak for myself and a lot of us probably watching online too. We felt alone at times in our healing journey, in our soul development journey. And a lot of times we feel divided. Because of politics, because of society issues, or you know, even location and things. But really, we can come more into that unison when we drop into our heart and we can remember that we all come from the same source and we all return to the same source. And when we have that in mind, we can do better because we realize that what I'm doing to myself, I'm doing to you. And what I'm doing to you, I'm doing to myself and to all of us. And so we can't stay in this division anymore. It's been time for unity, and unity has been happening since the beginning of time. But now we get to progress that even more, and we get to look at ourselves and we get to say, how do I want to choose for today? How do I want to choose my thoughts, my actions when I go out into public? How am I going to show up? Am I going to show up united or divided? Right. That's what this movement is really asking us. Yeah. The ascension has begun. Yeah. And it's going to continue. I love it. I'm excited. And even so on the smallest level, House of Frog, you know, it started in that, like we were saying. But the fruit and the branches it's bearing is because of our united and combined energies of me and Cinnamon. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's the roots there. So it's all good. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And thank you to everybody watching for joining us here at Augmented Teachings. And thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for taking care of yourself. Thank you for showing up. And always have love and laughter in your heart and keep moving forward. See you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.